We are going live now. You can start. Thank you.
Okay. Good evening. Thank you very much for joining. This is a soft launch for the Thai Bangalore FinTech Special Interest Group. We wanted this off the ground so that we could start taking action. Where we kind of form the group, what kind of focus areas and interests that we can start working on and take it forward. We have with us, I think, two board members, Tia Anand and Geeta Ramurthy. I don't see her on the screen, but she'll also be there. And Madan Padaki, who's the chair of Thai Bangalore board, will join us around 6 o'clock. He was called away for a government meeting in Udaipur, so he'll join us a little later. Okay, I think as we kick off, I'd like Anand to just kind of formally set the ball rolling, because at the end of the day, Thai has a vision. We are very keen to take this agenda forward, and we've been supporting a lot of initiatives across Karnataka, that is this chapter, and we've been very, very successful. So Anand, do you want to just start off now, share a few perspectives, and then you can drop off because I know you have other commitments as well. Can we get Anand on the screen? Yes. No, we can't hear him. You're on mute.
No, he has to get unmuted from there.
You have to unmute yourself, Anand, I think on your screen. Sorry. We still can't hear you. He says the host is muted him.
No. Now,
Yes, we can hear you now. Go
now
ahead.
can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. So yeah. Good evening, everyone. It's a real pleasure to be here virtually. I mean, these days we are doing everything, a lot of stuff online. Sorry, I couldn't be present at the Thai office. So on behalf of the Thai Bangalore, I'm delighted to just, get this started off. As an SIG, I think we have had FinTech earlier, but kind of dormant in the intervening years. But it's really glad that the core team now is launching this. SIG, special interest groups, just for those who are unfamiliar with it, are a real feature of Thai Bangalore to engage deep and to innovate with startups and nurture them. So we have had many SIGs, and the IoT forum, of which I am the chair now, called the Matrix Forum, started way back in 2014, and we have had 8 years of successful continuous run. So you see that SIGs really are the backbone of deep engagement that we have, Thai Bangalore has in the community. We also have healthcare SIG and EdTech SIG, which are relatively a couple of years old, and I'm a part of the healthcare core team too. So you can see that SIGs really help both the charter members and the interested folks and the startups and the ecosystem players, the VCs and mentors and so on, to engage. So I'm really happy that we have revitalized the FinTech, and it's really going to take off, especially in these years when there is so much happening all across, and a number of unicorns are there already in FinTech. So I think it's time to really engage deep, and thanks to Sandhya and several of the core committee members to launch this off. Thank you once again for all those who have joined us today, and over to you, Sandhya. Hello, are you able to hear me?
Can hear you, Anand.
Yeah. I said over to you, Sandhya.
Yes, thank you very much. And thanks for joining us. I know you had another commitment also today. So thank you so much. Stay for as long as you want. It would be wonderful if you're there, but if you need to kind of drop off, that's okay as well. Thank you so much. For those of you who don't know Anand, he's run the Matrix event for the last, 8 years or so. And it's really been massive, successful. A lot of, with the IoT focus, it's really interesting. I was going to get Peter Ramurthy, who's also a board member who runs the special interest group for women. And we got some really interesting activities going on there. We are trying to get rural women entrepreneurs going in partnership with the Karnataka government, which kind of will be very helpful for us when you're looking at inclusive growth. We were in fact looking at digital literacy and financial literacy for them. So that's a very strong element or thread that kind of ties these things together. Madan obviously could have set the context and the vision and the larger kind of partnerships that we had. I hope we can get him to speak when he lands in Mumbai. But I will get on with my brief presentation, and then we'll kind of see whether there are questions, anyone who wants to participate or take it forward. If you can just get my presentation up, I'll be grateful. So let me just start with, when I joined TAI in December, January, my conversation with Madan was, can we get something going on FinTech? So the initial conversation was, let's do a series of speakers who can kind of provide perspective. That's the easiest thing to do. But then we said, if you're launching it, we should do it with some of the ecosystem partners. So I have been actually talking to a number of potential partners that we have a more robust way of going forward. And once we had one partner on board, we decided to then start moving ahead. That's frankly when we said, let's just kick it off. And then we'll get more people, and then we'll also get more perspectives to take this journey forward. Those of you who have watched or who attended the Global FinTech meet last week, if you haven't, and if you're interested in that area, it's completely available on YouTube. All the 8 hours on each day, you can listen to any of it, and it's actually quite fantastic because you can do it when you're walking or whatever it is. So the perspectives that you get makes you realize that this is a space that TAI definitely needs to be part of, and we need to be taking this journey forward. Today, I think we will have, it'll be fairly quick and light. If we have more people who want to engage and track, that's fine. Otherwise, it's okay. We were going to have the context setting by Madan. We did have Anand talk a little bit. Hopefully, Madan will join later. I will just provide a little bit of perspective about the opportunity and why we need to be involved and how many of you can get involved in whichever form and shape you want to be involved in, and how we shape this journey over the next year or two. KDM is Karnataka Digital Economy Mission. If you're not familiar with what they do, I think we should all get very familiar. The aspiration is huge. As part of the future, when you're looking at India's GDP at 5 and 10 trillion economy, which we were talking about, and if you're looking at what is the size of the digital pie around all of this, they want a quarter of the pie, the digital pie. That is, so 250 billion is the aspiration. Mm-hmm. The person who's heading it is B.D. Naidu, who used to head the STPI in Bangalore. So he knows the business side, but he also comes with a bureaucratic background. So it's a fantastic organization to be partnering with, and hopefully Gaurav and Chetan will be able to share a little bit about what they have in plan. And I think it may be of relevance for other groups as well who want to kind of partner with them. I actually brought in Mridul Mahan, who's from Deutsche Bank. He has been very active in the FinTech area. He's also he is obviously a technology leader within Deutsche globally. And they're partnering with IIT Mumbai, they're partnering with a lot of other ecosystem players. And the perspective of the large banks, how they see it, the opportunity within India, but there's also opportunity outside, because last week we were having a conversation with one of the unicorns, on how they want to go outside India, what kind of partnerships could they have. And that's when, to be very honest, I thought of tapping middle because the opportunity could be something that our member community of fintechs could find useful and interesting. So that's frankly where the conversation came from. So I will kind of be very brief. My reason for excitement about the fintech comes from the fact that even the most conservative estimates of the opportunity is about 1 trillion by 2030. And this is coming from the chief economic advisor of the country. It is not coming from all the 100 reports because you have a report that says it's 800 billion, another person says 1.3 billion, but this number is from the chief economic advisor. So if that is the case, and between Mumbai and Bangalore, we got 42% of the startups last year. We need to have a proportionate number going forward. To some extent, the number of years of a corporate life shapes you. So I think it's an opportunity that we need to be very active as TIE members, and we should be very much involved in this fantastic journey. The third one, which I really liked, was the conversion rate of adoption, because you have hundreds of startups that happen, not all of them succeed. In this area, a lot more seem to be succeeding based on the stats that I saw. So that made me feel that we absolutely need to be in this journey. We need to create talent, we need to be supporting them, opportunities in terms of technology, and if all of that meant this is our space. So if you go to the next slide, I've just kept it very simple, opportunities, threats, and I kind of, while these slides are there, they're kind of more anchors. Why do we see the opportunity increasing? We talk about the middle class, we have the internet penetration, the policy changes, all of that is there. But personally, if you break it down compared to other countries, we are growing at an exponential rate. If you listen, many of you were there when Nandan Nilekane was felicitated. And he spoke about the ONDC and his journey around this. There's no second opinion on real leaders, world leaders. And we need to see what else can we do proactively to drive this agenda. You can get involved on the payment side, the lending side, the wealth management. Those are the traditional banking things. But Ashok Mehta, I will probably tap him to speak a little later, was talking about sustainable, inclusive growth. And it is absolutely essential. In a different context, when I was talking to the KBM guys, the creator economy, the rural, you have a lot of rural entrepreneurship activity which is happening, which they want to put on the ONDC highway, if you want to call it that. And you need to have the financial backbone supporting it. If you're looking at new models for your e-commerce or your agri-tech, you will need all of those models. And therefore, we have an opportunity to play across every one of them. So for me, I think this is space which we have to kind of be active around. If I look at our strengths, where we come from, RBI, the Innovation Center is just down the road. It is next to the KBM office. I think Madan, I can find him there as much as I can find him in the Thai office. So the level of interconnectedness that exists is very high. So for us, I think being involved, and they're very open. A number of people I've spoken to within RBI would kind of say, they said, if you have ideas, perspectives, where we can, if you want to kind of provide input on policy, come back to us. They're willing to be listening posts for our community. So we have the opportunity to kind of be part of that journey. Whether, you may not always get the answer that you want, but you'll be heard. I think that much is, based on my personal experience, that is something that we can be very, very sure of. The other bit, I think, is you also have iSpirit, which is where the India stack came from. There are lots of new ideas that are coming through. If that is right next to us, how else can we kind of leverage the opportunity? Nandan had very kindly offered that he is willing to get whoever we need to our community to kind of give them the perspective to help us evolve and grow. So I think we have all the stuff which is there for us to go forward on this journey. If we go into the threats and weaknesses, I think they're all blended. The opportunities, threats, and they're kind of both blended. Because the way I see it is, traditional banks, you have silos, but your ability to data mine and then do the, leverage the AI/ML kind of activity associated with that is throwing up new opportunities. So in a process kind of, if you look at the RBI structure, the innovation hub, they talk about process innovation, they talk about product innovation and policy level changes. You can actually play in any one of that. The siloed environment of the way the government operates, how the funding operates, many of them are being broken. New processes are being put forward. In fact, RBIH just launched that new process forward, I think yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. So it's worth keeping tabs on it, and it will become part of our community's responsibility to share it with those interested, because I think that's going to be as much, because the information, the pace of change is very fast. I keep reading quite a bit, but I'm not on top of it. So we need to figure out a way to stay really relevant and say, are we taking advantage of all the opportunities that are coming? The other bit that hits me very hard is the digital literacy. I was talking to one of the MDs in RBI. And he said, if you have ideas around this, send me, because we were talking about the aging population. They know how to manage their funds, but they're not very comfortable in terms of digital literacy. So what kind of new products and solutions can we offer them that will enable them to kind of go, have that bridge? We were just talking about language. And if you're going to do sustainable development and growth in that area, the language barrier needs to go. Today, significant amount of change has been brought into that space. Can we accelerate that? How do we drive that? And if Karnataka wants to have a quarter of the country's digital growth, the opportunity around that is humongous for us. If we then look at it in terms of, so the lack of knowledge there makes it a fertile ground for experimentation, partnering with academia, partnering with NGOs, partnering across banks and other institutions to kind of make that happen. Is there a way that we can play a role of catalysts? So I think that's the other space, and we've got a large number of charter members, one of the largest, I think 150 plus charter members, many coming from multinational backgrounds, many coming from very diverse international backgrounds, as well as those very, very deeply rooted within the various NGO spaces. So we have an opportunity which is unparalleled. You then look at one area, we call cybersecurity as a threat, but honestly, I see that as one of the biggest opportunities for us. We have startups within the Thai community who actually want to provide awareness on cybersecurity that every basic startup should put in place. We can easily kind of send that. When I was talking to RBI, they kind of, somebody there said, if you guys want to share what you think should be minimum standards, tell us. They are open. So you have regulators, you have policymakers open to feedback because it has to move fast. And the more we are able to kind of feed back into that, I think that's a space that we cannot underestimate. I think I'm involved in another one when you're looking at it in terms of future technologies. Quantum is one of them. It's coming faster than we think. If you look at the guidance note, which has been put out by various regulators globally, the timing, I mean, it's not hard and fast yet, but it's coming. It's faster than we know. There are quite a few companies in Bangalore working on some of the technologies on quantum space. Are we getting them to speak to us for us to know what the new standards should look like? Are we going to be ahead of the curve or behind the curve in some of these dialogues? And for India, it's vital because you have the geopolitical situation that we have to think through, which countries are doing what, and therefore where do we want to play our own independent lead position, the pole position that we have. So the opportunity there is huge. The government regulation is an interesting one. If you talk to the FinTech technology person, it's a barrier. But actually, if you understand the reason why they're doing some of the things that they're doing, we will know that it's better to think through that like how do we protect? And if you have that thought process up front, even as a startup, then the chances are you'll be able to really move forward without getting hit by regulation at a later point because you've understood where they are likely to come from. So the preventive approach for change and transformation is an opportunity for many people. So it could be the advisory spaces to all kinds of other startups which are there. So if we move on, we already have good partners in the incubators, accelerators. And, we're constantly having, if you look at any of the WhatsApp groups that we have somebody or the other saying, come and talk to us. We are willing to give you support, growth. And it's kind of incestuous community that we live in. But it shows that we have the ability to get the best in the world to come and talk to us. And we have the access to that. We also have the ecosystem guys willing to talk. So I've spoken to two of them, the RBIH and NSR Cell. Both are willing to work with us, but we need to get more specific about how we can partner, what's in it for them and what's in it for us. So I think there is definitely lots of soft things that we've thought through, but we do think there are a lot more. And the organizations that you mentioned, how else can we fold them in, even if it's a soft folding in of the conversation. I was just talking to Mridul, and he was saying, is there a way for Thai to be involved in this? I suspect there is. There's a lot that's already happening. So, there are banks like him. If they're interested in this space, we will, definitely have value in taking that forward for our communities. So, what have we accomplished so far? We got a core working group. You can call it a steering group. So, we're wondering what titles we should have. We have the two people from the KBL. We have Vijayta. He comes in with significant amount of connect, funding, all the things that will help us move that journey forward. Srikanta, again, is an interest. Srikanta Prabhu, unfortunately, I think he's dialed in. He was in the funding space. Now he's in the startup space. He's keen to kind of support the growth of this environment. So you need that kind of fungible capability. Kanchan Dwivedi, she's been a FinTech startup person. She's in fact not being able to join today because she's actually doing a pitch somewhere else. So he said that's more important. She's also been a mentor to many people, including IIT Kanpur, if I'm not mistaken, and a number of other institutions. So we already have a small group. We are open to adding a few more. We need to create some working groups of, let's say, for sustainable, inclusive growth. We will need a couple of people around future technologies and how will this shape us. What will the traditional banking related activities or the financial payments, lending, wealth management and the likes of it. We will need that kind of an anchor group to say what is the interest that we want our community to be engaged around. And I think there's obviously the regulatory group to make sure that it's a two-way street on that. So already 4 working subgroups are things that we spoke about, but there could be others. I do not know what else could be added and what is relevant. So this team we kind of literally put together last week. So we still have to meet, and if anyone is interested, please let us know. More than happy to include, because we need a small group that can run, because not everybody can join all meetings. But if you have a specific desire to shape this area, join us. As I said, we have the KDM as a partner, under discussions to the major organizations. If it's not them, we will also add a few others. We're also adding some sponsors. We are talking to some unicorns, Bangalore-based unicorns, to help us. Let's see. If they do, then we can have more meetings in person, because even small meetings cost. So otherwise it becomes Zoom, which is not as as effective, but we do hope to have more. So this is what we got. Some of the things that, what do we want to do with KDM? They already had something going. So we said, potentially, they have these boot camps with the 30 shortlisted colleges that they have across the 3 hubs in Karnataka. he said, when you're doing your boot camps on entrepreneurship, we'd like you to insert the FinTech space, and we're more than happy to contribute our time to support you on that. Once we do that, after a month or two of covering, let's say 10 to 15 out of the 30 APs, we call for ideas, shortlist them, then put them through the learning process, and then get a pitch ready for potentially the right suitors, whether it's, I know I was interested, RBI was interested, we'll have to see the quality of ideas that come through and what we can do with that. But yeah, I think we'll have to put that in place. 6 to 8, 7 months is the run time for this. Not too long, but long enough for us to get our action together as a team. But that will enable us to kind of also build our ecosystem partners as we go through it. I'm truly grateful to KDEM. They're working with us, with Thai, on many other programs. So it's not only this is just one of them. With this, I think some of the things that the community will see is we'll be sending out a survey to both charter members and the associate members, the startup community, to really get a good handle on who is either already involved in FinTech or is interested in FinTech. Because we have the WhatsApp group has 250 members. I went through the LinkedIn profiles to see what do they say that they're doing. And you see that they're involved in lots of other things. So you're not 100% sure who's fully involved with as a founder, or they're doing other things as well. This is also an area of interest. So we want to have the database because it is important for us to know how to curate the right action as we move forward. The second bit is obviously the what Thai traditionally offers, the learning, the networking, and the access, which is already there, but kind of ramp it up a bit more. But we do want to build the more focused pillars, as it were, around. If you listen to what the governor of RBI said last week, he said they look at sustainable development over the next 25 years. Otherwise, it's not going to help. So we need to have FinTech really there. And already Ashok pinged me just earlier today saying, is there something that we could do together? I think similarly with technology, we've got to take the lead around that. We need to be ahead of the curve on many things. We are ahead of the curve on many things. How do we stay ahead of the curve? I think that's where it is. And then, of course, based on our needs, what are the future partnerships that we want to build in, so that we keep this as a vibrant community going forward. So that's all I had to share at this point. If any of you have questions, comments, I'll probably turn to Ashok. Ashok, do you want to share a few perspectives on what you had in mind for inclusive digital growth? You can get Ashok on the screen if you can. Yeah. Ashok Mega.
Good evening, Sandhya, and all
Ashok.
friends who are there.
Good evening, Ashok.
Hope I'm audible. I didn't expect to.
Yes, you're on.
All the best for this new launch, soft launch, as you said. I think this is something which was most wanted, like FinTech, irrespective of the domain, it's a bloodline for everybody. We can build castles in the ideas, the kinds of things we want to do, but if finance is not there, the castle remains there. Doesn't become a reality. So I was really happy that this soft launch has come in, well timed. That Thai is trying to do different domain aspects, like call it agri, health, maybe mobility or whatever. Everywhere FinTech is required. Thanks, Sandhya, for acknowledging the indications I made in the morning. I think you rightly said the ecosystem demands the convergence, and you rightly said we'll have to get together the different aspects When you say fintech, it is finance, the players in the finance side and technology comes in. But what I quickly want to add is the domains should come there. Like fintech should get the convergence from the different domains, like healthcare. It could be telecommunication, or it could be sports, everywhere finance is required. So the convergence brings the kind of customization. Like one solution by fintech evolves may not fit all the domains by the requirements they have. I think that's what should be the focus. Like the core team has a good strength. I see Shrikant there. I see, there's a good blend of happening. But the leadership of different SIGs should shake hand with fintech and speak out what's the way they need. Like I was telling about inclusive finance, more inclusive, digitized financial offers. This is very, very required in the sense that it gives huge opportunities. As Sandhya was telling, like think of the agri rural ecosystem where digitizing has to happen. The database has to be created. That gives a huge opportunity for the techies to come in. Can we do a kind of digital platform to build up a kind of database where reliability operates? Maybe the KDEM, which is there, they have access to the database they created in the rural segment. Why I'm keeping on telling rural is that's an area offering huge potential for the finance. Like hardly we have covered, take the Karnataka Indian geography. I don't think the institutional funding has happened for more than 15% of the requirement. The entire demand side is still sit with the money lenders. They still stick to the informal lending mechanism. I don't know, Sandhya will also appreciate because she comes from a Deutsch, I come from ING. So living elsewhere doesn't make us understand the magnitude of requirement. But digitizing, operating on the database, operating on the kind of it's not that branch banking has to happen. It can be the mobile units which can reach out there. So that's why I call the inclusiveness has huge, uh, potential to operate and how it happens. I quickly want to add one aspect is there are few operators which have started where we should tie up. Like you said RBI, but RBI is more a policy making body, whereas the operators are down the line, the commercial banks, maybe the lead bank, others. And recently RBI has permitted the NBFCs to come in. NBFCs can actually do, start, kind of operating in a micro, geographical area, customize the products. I saw the Rabobank coming in and they're talking to us already to come into NGOs. They're coming to SHGs and start digitizing. There's no physical structure of a bank, but it reaches out to the groups of individuals. I think these are the kind of potentials I see. So even if you think of health tech, there are offerings through the insurance media, like the insurance is linked on the mobile setup for a ailing person, even in a remote village, to set up and start using the facilities. So fintech is a huge, sky is the limit for the creativity, but the sky is the limit to put the technology in place. I congratulate the TIE as a whole and also Sandhya taking a lead of this, and she's in Bangalore. We have been having few conversations, but I think something should happen in reality. All the best to you. These are the few thoughts I should share, and thanks for this, time to asking me to share some thoughts.
Thank you so much, Ashok, because I didn't touch on the NBFCs and the operators because we will need to bring them in, absolutely. In fact, many of the NBFCs have gone down the path of impact lending and supporting further down. In fact, I'm working with a couple of them myself. And we will bring them in. When I said the ecosystem players, they will definitely be very key to the shaping of what we're doing. So you're spot on that. So maybe I think that I'll kind of add that as we go forward, as we build this structure going forward. And in fact, I made some notes on some of the other things that you called out. And definitely we will have that sustainability pillar where we will, as you said, shake hands with you and make sure how we can overlap on some of the initiatives. Excellent. Thank you so much, Ashok. I'm going to now tap Geeta, who has joined us. I know she also has conflict in meeting, but she's been kind enough to join. And she's a massive supporter on driving, getting things going. So Geeta, can I get you to say a few words? She's a board member and she wears multiple hats. She's also been one of the earliest Thai players out of Boston who got the youth going on entrepreneurship. She's an amazing person. If you've not met her, go meet her. So over to you, Geeta.
Thank you so much, Sandhya. And congratulations to you for leading this program and also to your team, the leadership team for launching this program, whether it's a soft launch or otherwise. Again, you have taken the first step in launching this, and congratulations to you and all your team. And so I can speak from a women program perspective. And I had before I came here to this program, I had a talk with some of the rural women entrepreneurs. As everybody is aware, that Thai has partnered with the SRLM program, and we are trying to come down to the rural women to see rural women entrepreneurs, to see how we can support them. I can tell you 100+% I can say, because without even blinking their eye, everyone says that, we want to understand the financial support, banks can give. They're also not very knowledgeable about that. And also the regulations, where do we qualify, where do we not qualify? And I think, everybody needs small to mid-size level funding. And if you guys can come up with some simple programs where you can, clarify the guidelines and also the challenges, I think many of them. And also we can through our Thai Women program, we can organize some awareness programs to these rural women entrepreneurs. And of course, even the regular city entrepreneurs are also going to benefit from this. And male or female, it's universal. We are happy to work with you and organize some awareness programs to start with. And then we can come back to you and utilize your products and services. I think that will be very, very good start. And from the board, I'm very excited to work with you. And on Madan's part, I would like to congratulate you and your team for doing such a wonderful, getting a wonderful program going.
Thank you, Geeta. Do you want to share anything about the funding, the Thai Angel thing, or shall we leave it to another session?
Well, I'll just say a very high level, couple of thoughts I'll share. These are all thoughts, nothing concrete yet. We have a Thai Angels program, which was very, very active, and it did a few good investments, up until 2020, or I would say till COVID pandemic affected all of us. And now we are going to restart the kickstart the program, and we have quite a few people, including you, Sandhya, in our group that will be, helping us shape that. And there will be 2 to 3 level programs there. One is for the very early startups, and the second level will be for the startups and growth stage startups, and of course for the mature companies. So we are involving all the investment communities, including several venture firms and also angel investors across Karnataka to start with. And we are also partnering with the Karnataka Thai chapters, that is Thai, Mysuru and Hubli, to get this rolling. Very soon there will be some announcements and some information that we will be sharing. And we also have put together very, very good groups, functional groups that are going to support us. That is something that I'm excited about also.
So this team can have access to money as well. So that's even better.
Absolutely.
But thank you so much, Geeta, for jumping in the last minute. I know you have a number of other things, but really nice of you to have joined. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'll let you go now. I'll just check whether Gaurav Punjabi or Chetan are there, and they can share a little bit about the partnership that we have with them. And if they're not, that'll be great.
Good evening, Sandhya ji. This is Chetan. Chetan, I'm here.
Excellent. So Chetan, do you guys want to just share a little bit about KDEM, because I think I was quite blown away when you shared the size of the aspiration and the kind of things that you're all planning to do, which I think many of us may or may not know about. We may have worked with KDEM, but not really understood the size scale of the potential impact plan.
Absolutely, ma'am. Absolutely. Thank you. First of all, thank you so much on behalf of KDEM. I would like to thank Sandhya ji, Thai Bangalore, and all the leaders, who have taken a special interest of forming the SIG for FinTech. And we were really excited to collaborate on this initiative. And let me just brief, take a few minutes to brief about KDEM and what specific role or what specific initiatives from KDEM we are focusing on the FinTech arena. I'll just share a couple of slides, few slides I just prepared for the. Let me know when we're able to see the screen.
Yeah, we can see the screen.
Yes. So first of all, KDEM, it stands for the Karnataka Digital Economy Mission. This is for the people who have not come across KDEM, or I'll be spending a couple of minutes about the KDEM and why, how KDEM is promoting the digital economy in the state, and how the FinTech is a very special focus area for us at the KDEM. So KDEM is an organization promoted by the government of Karnataka, driven by industries. So let me just give you. We take pride in saying that KDEM is one of the very unique kind of an organization which has been promoted by the government of Karnataka. And, we are a Section 8 not-for-profit organization where 51% equity comes from the industry. When I say industry, it is the industry associations, that is the NASCOM, IESA, and the SHM. And then the 49% stake is with the government of Karnataka. So the entire KDEM is organization designed by the industry and for the industry, promoted by government of Karnataka. So that is the whole point of the position which KDEM believes, and we are trying to contribute to the digital economy for the state. So for the vision of Karnataka, yes, so we have an aspiration of reaching to $1.5 trillion economy, out of that $300 billion digital economy by 2026. So that is the kind of an aspiration which we are looking. That is somewhere we are here around $100 billion. So by 2026, we would like to do it to 3x. So that is the thing. So I'm going forward on the core objectives and the focus areas. As you can see the screen, we have at KDEM, we have divided ourselves into multiple verticals. So the one vertical is on the IT, GCCs, and the BPM. The second vertical is on the innovation and startups, and the third vertical is on the ESDM, that is the electronics, semiconductor design, and manufacturing. These are the three core main pillars for us. To supplement this, we do also have a new or a horizontal mission which cut across these three verticals. That is the Beyond Bengaluru. So how do we take this IT, ITS, GCC? How do we take the innovation and the mature startup ecosystem which the Bangalore has to these Beyond Bengaluru? So that is something, Beyond Bengaluru is a very special focus. Beyond Bengaluru, we call it as a Beyond Bengaluru mission. And to supplement all these things, we have another focus element called Talent Accelerator. So this Talent Accelerator, we work with the industries, we work with the academia, understand the skill gap, understand what is required for the industry to drive. Not just looking onto the current needs, we also mapping the needs for the talent for the next 5 years, 10 years, and the 20 years. That's the kind of the vision. So these are the broad verticals or focus areas which KDM is focusing onto it. And again, yes, we do have our what do we need to do? So we have set ourselves like how can 40% of the state's GDP come from digital economy? That is the target what we envision, and how do we skill 2 million people, and how can we get 10x investments under the ESDM? It could be the EMS or the FABs or the ATMP and supply chain. Similarly, looking at the startups, I think that is our focus area for the today's discussion again. So 5% of the state's GDP can it come through the startups. So how can we create more unicorns or unicorns and more value-based startups? So these are the few focus areas which we are working towards. I thought this is something which I wanted to highlight. The reason which I'm putting the governance framework is, so I just mentioned about the 5 different verticals. So you can also see there is a strong element or a good element of industry advocacy. If each of these 5 pillars, these are the P&L accounts for us. So for each of these 5 pillars, we do have industry experts, industry academic, experts working with us across these sectors. So this is something, that is where, we stand with our objective, like by the industry and for the industry. But the entire thing is promoted by the government. So that is something, which is I wanted to highlight here. And what do we do under each of the vertical? What are our core strategies? So again, we're not limiting to any advocacy or strategy only on the thing. We also drive it to the execution level. So these are the few things, we have the council, we have the industry anchors, we have, how do we get more increased investment flow, social impact programs, and how do we convergence between multiple departments and verticals. So these are the few of, strategies, what we, or the core activities, what we do under each vertical. Due to the positive time, I'm just, I wanted to highlight on the overall thing. I'll be happy to discuss and share later, or, we'll be happy to connect with the all the leaders and the experts here separately, So this is, I just wanted to give you a snippet. So again, when we come into the beyond Bengaluru, KDM, when I say KDM, again, KDM and the government of Karnataka, along with our partners. So we have a beyond Bengaluru as a core mission. So we are focusing, right now as a phase 1, we have launched 3 different cluster-based approach. One is the Mysuru cluster, which will also, focuses on the ESDM and cybersecurity for us on the and that is our interest area. Mangaluru, ITITS, and the FinTech. So this is something which I wanted to talk a little bit more. I will be, in the coming slides, I'll be touching upon the FinTech perspective of what KDM and how we are achieving that. So the Mangaluru cluster, because we all know Mangaluru is called the cradle of the Indian banking. Naturally the Mangaluru as a city has a flavor of FinTech and the finance there. So we want to encourage more of FinTech and finance sector coming at the Mangaluru cluster. And the other third cluster is the Hubli cluster, wherein we are looking into the AI. We are creating a center of excellence for AI at Hubli, agri-tech, and engineering R&D. So this is something which we are looking as a cluster wise. So this is about the beyond Bangalore. Now I'll just touch upon the FinTech focus. What we are planning to do and how we can do it. Again, at the startup and innovation vertical, we do have many verticals or many activities which we are driving at the KDM. Again, one core is the FinTech task group. So we have especially, this is just the other activities. I thought I'll just show it on the screen. Maybe we can discuss a little later, or some other occasion we can discuss on the other thing. So when I say FinTech task force, we already have created a FinTech task force with the experts who are working are already in the industry, like Harshil Mathur who is from the Razorpay. We have Mr. Mahabaleshwar Bhatt, who comes from the Legacy Bank, who's the director and the MD of Karnataka Bank. Mr. Timana Gowda from the Watts Loan, Nikin Kamath of Zerodha, Smithane from Cred, Ravish from Katabook, Harsh Jain from Grow, and Johnson from Sahyadri Institutions. So this is the FinTech task force, which we have created. I'll just tell you, what is that we are going to do from the FinTech task group, or where are we right now when it comes to FinTech. So what we did is, since again, this is by the industry and for the industry, we thought, we met multiple times to understand how do we make Karnataka the global FinTech hub. That's our mission, that's our aspiration, where we are driving towards. So for that, we as a phase one, we identified 5 thematic areas. We are very much happy to expand these with the collaboration with the TiE Bangalore, and the other leaders who would be happy to support, and will be open for collaboration to take it many more thematic areas. So the first, or the one of the thematic areas on the FinTech policy. So the Karnataka state, how do we come out with the Karnataka state FinTech policy so that we can have a very robust policy and the regulatory support for the FinTech ecosystem for the state. So that's something which we are looking forward, and we have started thinking around it. We'll be approaching the government also about this in a very strong way. And then how do we create? The second one is we are creating the Center of Excellence for FinTech in Mangalore. It's just a very one of the best in class COE we want to create. And we have already started working towards it. We'll be happy to expand and collaborate with other industry supported partners for this. And again, the third thematic area which we thought is on the training and the talent support, because we know FinTech is emerging and there is no end. I think even Mr. Anand and Ashok and everyone and the other speakers were mentioning, and also Sandhya ji was telling about talent and the FinTech or the ecosystem. How do we grow here? So training and talent support is something which is very, very key for us. And I think that is something which we are looking forward to, take it forward. And then the fourth one is on the mentorship, because when we need to support, when we need to help the FinTech ecosystem, the mentorship plays a very key role. The mentorship could be on the existing knowledge, the compliance, the regulatory support, or the technology support. It could be on various other things, because FinTech has a different edge, and FinTech requires a little different care for the startups. So that's where the mentorship plays a very, very key role. And then the last one, the thematic area is again, how do we make financial and the banking literacy? This is something which is very important. That is what when we met, when we had an opportunity to discuss with Sandhya ji, I think, we elaborated a little more on having boot camps and, on the other initiatives. And we are very excited to partnership and, collaborate and do this with the TiE Bangalore. So these are the thematic areas which has been identified under the task force. And then we have already started working on it. Just to, maybe I can share this at this forum, is we are submitting a FinTech task group report to the department, to the government of Karnataka in the month of November. So there is a Mangaluru Technovanza, which is one of the largest tech events which is happening at the Mangaluru on the 7th and 8th of November. So at this occasion, we would like to use this stage and give a little more detail. I'm the task group members and the experts are going to be talking about these things. So this is the thematic areas which we identified. And now I think to extend the collaboration, Sandhya ji and we were also discussing on a few more things. How do we take this forward? We are already excited to start working on this SIG, collaborating with the SIG and take it forward. So these are a few potential areas of collaborations where we see, one is on how can we all support and work towards the financial and the banking literacy. And then the second area is something, the reason is we are coming out with the innovation hub of FinTech at Mangalore. That is a center of excellence. We open this, I would like to invite the leaders and experts who wants to come and collaborate and support the innovation FinTech Innovation Hub. So it's open. And then the mentorship. And again, please, let us all support startups on, the risk management, the compliance aspects, on any other things, because I know TiE Bangalore and, the leadership here has a lot of immense experience and knowledge. So how can we take this as a program? And again, we are also setting up a virtual sandbox for the FinTech, specifically for the FinTech. So these are the few areas of collaboration I thought I would happy to share at this forum to start with. And then naturally, I invite for all the partner organization, and TiE Bangalore is always there with us. And Madan, he's already an industry anchor and a leader for KDM, who is supporting us at various levels. So these are the few things which I thought I would share in today's thing. And then to specifically around fintech activities, which I just mentioned, these are the few things which we are coming exclusively. We're coming out of FinTech Hub at Mangalore. We are creating a center of excellence for fintech, virtual sandbox. And the other thing is the cluster seed fund. So the cluster seed fund at Mangalore, like the government of, this is going to be a budget announcement of the government of Karnataka, where, we are creating seed funds for the startups working in these clusters. So again, we would like to give a priority or importance for the fintech space also here. So that's why I thought this is relevant, and I would give this thought process an idea. The fund is is already in underway of setting up. Maybe in a month or so, we should be ready to launch this fund. So this is just a heads up for all the startup ecosystem players here. And then again, we at KDM, since we work with a lot of industries and we are interacting with a lot of unicorns to unicorn, many of them are very shown interest to expand their operations at Mangalore. And we have already started, and very soon there will be a big announcements coming. FinTech, which is working in Mangalore. So these are the few things which I thought I will present to the audience here, and happy to discuss or take it forward. Thank you, Sandhya ji.
Thank you so much, Ketan. This, I think, if you did not know what Ketan was doing, it gives you a good flavor. And I think they are a fantastic partner for, Thai Bangalore and the other Thai Karnataka-based Thai chapters to go forward with. I think both Chetan and Gaurav have been fantastic people to engage with and partner. It was one of the easiest collaboration to build. And I think when you have like-minded people wanting to drive a vision which is bigger than yourself, it is always fun. So thank you. I'm conscious of time. So I will then, we'll probably have Q&A at the end, because I want Mridul also to share a little bit, and I promise we stop at 7. We won't go beyond that. So Mridul is an MD with Deutsche Bank, a global MD with Deutsche Bank. He wears multiple hats, so I won't try and describe all that he does. But the reason I tapped him was, one, he's very interested in the Indian fintech space. He's been building a number of collaboration with IIT Mumbai and a number of institutions. He's done that in Germany and other places as well. So he brings a slightly global flavor. So many of our startups also want to sell globally. They also want to understand, what do banks want? What's the value? We were going to have a slightly different construct for this event. So it seemed logical to include that, but I think it's still worth it, because we're focused very heavily in Karnataka and India. So it's good to go global, larger. Over to you, Mridul.
So thanks, Sandhya. Thanks for inviting me. I actually kind of find it interesting that fintechs come together, build cohorts, and forget us, the consumers, completely, right? I buy from the fintechs, right? I'm that evil warlord. Anyhow, I think let's look at it this way. To answer your question, and there are different facets to it. I think let's first answer what MNC banks are looking at. Right? Financial technology for us largely has been about owning the context. Owning the context beyond just an aggregation, beyond that one. I always give this example, it becomes very relevant here in Bangalore. You can build a nice road, but that's just X kilometers long. Everywhere around the Bangalore transport experience is bad, right? That's what fintechs need to look at. You can't give me just a nice road and the whole of Bangalore experience is bad. So what global banks are looking at is a more full stack approach. That's the conversation I have with fintechs, whether be it here next month I'm in Berlin. Same conversation. Let's build full stack. And I think India has immense potential in this startup world. Why we chose to collaborate with IIT Bombay was that the two sectors that have the most money, finance and health, right? Let's go ahead and invest that money. Let's go close to academia. So like, I didn't know about Kaden, by the way, so my bad. But all are on the seller side. Who's the buyer there, right? You need to build cohorts with us in the perspective. If you want to really get funds, yeah, let's talk about it, right? I mean, I'm sure we will do a little better than Masayoshi-san and do a little better job of that. I think what we are doing in Bangalore, about 2 weeks back, I was participating in a design event. I guess the the game is let's build technology for business, not tech for tech. I think that's where stop solving CIO problems, start solving CEO problems, right? Some of the fintechs that we are very interested in, we are trying to scale. One of them that we are interested in is last mile credit in India. And we as an investment bank are interested. So we don't want to really give those loans, the small ticket loans, but we want to build a marketplace where we do the underwriting of risk for those loans. So how can I build a credible last mile credit for a mom and pop shop? And today NBFCs do that, but they do at a cost of fund which is north of maybe 5 times of what HDFC takes it out. So you will never be able to fight that battle unless you have a global platform like us. So I guess our perspective is let's disintermediate, let's build instant gratification, but own the context end to end. I guess that's where we are. What we are doing is we have venture lending funds. So one of the things that I like to always talk about is venture capital is when a person has a skin in your game, sits at your table, and actually makes it uncomfortable for you to do what you want. Venture lending is when you service the loan like any other debt. If you are a real entrepreneur, if you really believe like you believe in the medicine we made, right? Put your money and mouth where the whole thing is. Take the debt and build the business. That's how businesses are built. Let's not build business on valuation where you're putting a lipstick on the page. That does not work for me, right? That's why whenever a person talks about how many unit consumers they've acquired, I use it. Tell me what money you've made. And that will be, and that's why, by the way, on one side, the story is, and sorry to be a bit of a different perspective, but maybe that's what you wanted anyhow. Yes, there are a lot of unicorns now. But by the way, the number has fallen drastically this year from last year. So the liquidity is no more swishing around in the world market. We need to really build technology that will sell. And if you want to look at technology that will sell, you will need platforms that will allow you to anchor cross-border conversation without taking the real players. Exuberance of youth. so I think one of the things that we need to look at is that India consumption story is beautifully handled by the FinTech. What about scaling out of it? Let's build some global setups out of India. And we as a German bank are more than willing, and we have been here for about 40 years, 50 years into business. You've been partners, so you know this. We are very committed to building it out. So I'm working with IIM Ahmedabad, I'm working with IIM Bangalore, I'm working with IITs, Bombay, Madras, Kanpur, largely to say, hey, let's build technology for business. Let's go beyond lending and payments. Let's build technology that's real play, and we are interested. So Zerodha, and I'm very happy that Nitin Kamath is involved here. The only company that we respect in the fintech space, right? Because they built a full stack platform and really changed how equity is done. Every other fintech has either copied something or played around with an idea and not yet reached it. So I guess where I stand today is, if you have an idea, if you're an entrepreneur in residence and you really believe in your business, not only Deutsche, I think all MNC banks are looking at you. India's opportunity, we all are open in Gift City. Let's talk trade. Let's talk the bigger things that our PM talks about. And let's talk larger than just playing with the consumer finance, which is actually the lowest end of the financial markets. Right? So I think that's where our space. I mean, happy to take questions, but that's where we see it. Very happy with what TIE is aiming to achieve. Very happy with what ADM is thinking. Happy to support, happy to put in people here. Happy to also put money here because we do have funds for that, right?
I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
I'm going to take you up on that.
Yeah, means last count, Deutsche Bank's investment banking technology budget was 1.9 billion euros, right? So we do put money there, and it is our business. We actually do business with that money. So happy to put money, but of course, it won't be for valuation. It will be for real profits, right? So that's where we are.
I think this gives a bit of a rounded flavor.
Yep.
It kicked off. We know the opportunities there. We've got a community that's interested, but we want to increase that community and we want to really support it to grow. whatever reason I picked Mridul to come and talk, I think it was a good decision in many ways because they are going to be some of the players who will buy the startups. If you look at however it
Buy,
evolves.
partner, touch, acquire.
Exactly.
So I think one thing that I always say about, I'm sorry
Go ahead.
to book come in between. Think of the banks as these planets, and if they can be saturnine rings, right, of fintechs around, complementary working on top of us. And I do have similar like data platforms in the US that work for me. I have a very interesting Hungarian startup that we're looking at for mid-cap platforms. In India, I'm more than happy to come in and look at things. But it can't be a horizontal aggregation play. It will have to be a full stack technology play. And we'll be more than happy to invest. So in IIT, there are about 3 to 4, like this 8 type that I'm talking to you about, not really in Deutsche's play, but they do font size as a science, right? And they are the only players in the world. Happy to fund these things. So that's it. We look at it as a compliment. It's happy to be disrupted, happy to be shown a better way of doing it, but own the whole context. And yes, we will put money.
And I think that could be one of the pillars that we should think about. What are the kinds of startups which will be of interest to banks and the large global players? Because that is a very different segment from the sustainability inclusive growth segment. And we need both because there are lots of people with larger aspirations. If they want to go into Africa or if they want to go into the mature markets, what are the kinds of things that we would want them to know and learn? I think it's not just a case of how do you get there, but also how do you build the knowledge to get there. I think that's going to be very important. I know we have 15 minutes. I'll keep it open to anyone who wants to share a perspective. There's not a Q&A kind of a thing. It's just a journey that we are starting. And I hope many of you will be part of the journey. If you want to volunteer and get involved, please do so. If you want to be engaged in any form and shape, I will definitely follow up on that. But I think Kerem has been fantastic. That's a very strong base. Start from your home base. Start with the people who can kind of support you in the immediate circle where you already have a lot of things going. So you we are building on strength. We have that relationship with Ty. We're building it in this direction, and we're kicking it off very fast because he's, as Chetan said, I think 7th and 8th of November in Manipal. If any of you are interested, I think we should kind of think about being part of it in some form, shape, or the other. I think it's worth it because it's a good way to go forward. I think what Chetan did mention is in Manipal, you're going to have the equivalent of the gift city coming up, which will have the international capability of the global jurisdictions and all of those needs that you need to have for the global outreach. So I think it's not enough to have just one gift city today. We need to have many more. They're starting off there. So I think we have an opportunity to be part of that really, really fun ride over the next 10, 20 years. Questions, comments?
I have a question and a comment.
Go ahead. Floor is all yours. Speak a little louder because that's what I was told.
So the question is, this is more for step back up as we step back a bit. This is supposed to be a special interest group. So just to set the context right, the question is, can we set? I know it's going to be difficult to define fintech, but maybe a couple of we can do it later also. But some examples so that the members know what they're talking about. Otherwise, we go all over the place.
It's, I think, very good because it's a very practical organizational thing. And we can say that these are the 3 areas that we'll focus on for the next 2 years. If we have others, we'll put them in the others bucket and we'll see how to help them. But the primary focus will be 2 or 3 areas because we can't be everything for everyone.
And they should be at street level rather than too much visionary or aspiration. Otherwise, we'll be just in vision.
Why do you think my slide said we will go to 10 colleges? We will then go, that
specifics.
I went in that direction because I knew the Thai community wants action at that level, which is what we've done. But we will kind of make sure that the action aligns back to the bigger vision. Because otherwise, what tends to happen is we can get caught in our own space. So we will stay true to the Thai roots of staying close to the ground. Totally with you on that, 100% with you on that.
And the observation is for Ketan. I don't know whether he's still around or not.
He should be.
So Ketan, can you, I mean, my suggestion is that the beyond Bangalore doesn't look good. It's negative and sort of, pushes back on the others whom they're actually trying to go. So maybe you could change the term to wide Karnataka or something like that. But beyond Bangalore is a bit jarring, maybe more for those not in Bangalore than rather than.
Yeah, for us, I think we feel very good, but I think, yeah.
It instinctively will make them, defensive.
I think, sure. No, I think that's a good, I think maybe I can say it's the first comment which I have heard till now, on that aspect. But the logic or the idea of having that beyond Bengaluru was, we don't want to use the conventional way like tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, wherein we are going to rank or, have a separator or something. Beyond Bengaluru is something, which is very important, which we are equal. Like the talent in beyond Bengaluru or talent in Bangalore doesn't have any differentiation. The opportunities are same. That is why KDM is taking the opportunities to these regions. How do we create the matured ecosystem at Bangalore to go to these places? So that's the whole logic of what Beyond Bengaluru was used as an organization.
Our logic is precisely that. Are you saying that they were not equal so far?
No, I mean, definitely it's not. We are not ranking or discriminating, but the use of words like tier 2, tier 3 has a differentiator. So that is something which we want to avoid.
Simply say wide Karnataka.
I think he can take it back to the code.
That's all I meant.
I'll note it.
Yeah. But it's a relevant one because I see, like you said, it has connotations. Good observations. Very good. Thank you. Anything else you'd like to add?
Mr. Manoj has a question.
Okay, Manoj, do you want to kind of share your perspectives, comments?
Hi, the good initiatives where we could start on SIG TiE Bangalore, and since we as a FX FinTech Financials can have a lot of collaborations, synergies with the three I would say department or the categories currently what I heard, right? One is on the college collaborations where we actually work with multiple students on our financials offerings, where currently we work with 40 banks and NBFCs. We are a DSA, as well as we are also into a structured finance. We act as a consultant cum investment banker, funding 4 CR to 35, 40 CR on the manufacturing units from Bangalore, as well as we could also work on the equity model and debt. So it's a combination of debt model and equity model on the higher ticket size up to 50, 60 CR. So I would like to, definitely collaborate with, each of the entity, KDEM or, Sandhya or the group, right? Where, we could, ours is also a startup, but definitely we can, be a part of it and leverage on both the sides.
Excellent, Manoj. I think I'm going to take you up on that. And if I recall, Ashok had mentioned that we work with NBFCs. So I think we can tap you to see how we can leverage, what you have and how we can move forward. Excellent. We got 2 people on the line who have raised their hand. So we are unmuting you. So thank you so much. And Manoj, expect a call from you or a WhatsApp message to kind of take this forward.
That will be great. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey. Shrikant, thank you so much for joining. I know you were in a workshop.
Right.
It's really nice that he is one of the core team. If any of you want to join in, please raise your hand. So, your thoughts, Shrikant?
Yeah, it's thank you, Sandhya. It's lovely to be part of this working group, and I represent Capita, and Capita is also a fintech startup ourselves. So it's not wrong to say that we are like a direct beneficiary of this fintech forum in some sense. But I also look forward to contribute towards this. I come with an investment background prior to this, so worked in the venture capital industry. And also, we are trying to look at fintech beyond even payments and lending, right? So in Bangalore is a startup capital in a way, and we are trying to building rails for private markets and startups so that it becomes an asset class for various stakeholders to participate, and we are trying to build towards that vision. So would love to weigh in that perspective also into the working group, as well as kind of contributing with the background and experience. So look forward to engaging with the group and the Thai charter members and taking this ahead. So I just wanted to weigh in and thank you for the opportunity.
Well, thank you so much for being part of this, because I think we need people who are willing to give their time. But it is difficult because, especially if you're in a startup, you don't have bandwidth, and it's really nice that you kind of signed up for it. So thank you. I'll let you go now. Just the other one for respect. Do we have Madan on the line? Because I know he said he wanted to join. I don't know whether he joined and dropped off. Madan, I don't know whether he...
everybody. Hello.
Madan, do you want to say a few words?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hey, sure. Hey, good evening, everybody. Hi, Sandhya. Sorry, I was not able to be there in person. I've been on travel. I just landed in Mumbai. But I've been tuning in for the last hour or so. Phenomenal to see the action, and the kind of ideas and commitments that are coming out. One of the things we realized at the chapter is to go the special interest groups way in the SIG ways. We had a very, very successful IoT deep tech forum that we called Matrix.
Has he dropped off?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really nice of him to have kind of joined. I don't know, is Vijayendra on?
No.
Let's check. He must have dropped off as well. So, okay, I know we have...
He's back on.
Madan? Yeah, can you just kind of... Can we get Madan back?
Yeah, back again.
Yes.
Yeah, so just wanted to say that I'm very excited about this long project. Thank you for your leadership in making this forward. And, I know Kanchan, Shrikant, and the rest of the gang all ready to get forward. So look forward to a lot of action in this group. And I think that will be the journey. And we really look forward to the first time on figuring out what else we can do.
He's actually Mumbai Airport. He just kind of got it from the airport. So I think we'll leave it at that, because if he joins, it's fine. But I think it's not very easy for us to hear either. Do you want to say something?
Yeah, yes,
please do.
So I feel just to add something to the point earlier mentioned, that it's good to focus on other areas as well. But I actually am very actively involved in the fintech space in Bangalore, and there are a lot of young founders coming in from other cities to sort of create startups in Bangalore. A lot of founders from Bangalore as well, again fresh from colleges, who are very confused about the fintech space in general and find it very difficult to sort of grow, build, again find investors and all of the things that you're planning on helping out with. So I think even though the focus largely is going to be outside Bangalore, I don't think the picture should not be lost within. So because there's a lot of confusion that goes on with it as well.
Spot on. It is a Bangalore. We are starting the initiative from Bangalore. Part of the partnership has been with KDEM for outside Bangalore.
Sure.
But I think a lot of our community is within Bangalore. So we will have a lot of in-person meetings, all of that in Bangalore. So spot on. I'll make sure that the messaging is not mixed up as we go.
And apart from that, I don't know, venture capital fund, so happy to help out with any of this.
Oh, good. I will get your name down so that I can catch up with you later. Brilliant. So I've got a volunteer on that space. Funded.
I quite like what Madan said. We are looking at profits, real profits, not valuation. I think for true sustainability, I think that's the way to go. Valuations do not bring about sustainability. Profits bring about sustainability. I think whether it's an investor who is a venture capitalist or a business investor, for us to look at India and to bring about the growth that we want in India, it needs to be sustainable. It needs to be, it's not the difference that you have between the unicorns and the billionaires, and then you have crores of people who don't have a meal, right? That's not sustainable at all. So I think by and large, if we can, and in some form or shape, I'm happy to help. That's, I've always said this anyway, to get that mindset that, you know what, we need to not just look at ourselves, what can we do for others? Whether it's a FinTech, whether it's EdTech, whether it's healthcare, it doesn't matter. I think enterprise is very, very useful. It needs to be profitable for sure, but it should not be a profiteering company. I think to your point, I think, valuations aren't really the benchmark. Profits are really it, but it should not be profiteering either at the level of the company, or I'm saying something, I do coach a few startups and I'm finding that availability of talent is becoming a challenge today, because everybody is running the valuation game and they don't care what they're doing in the short term. And I think it's cutting your nose to spite your face. So I think we need to also educate everybody.
I'd like to add to what you said, Chief. When my generation was coming out of college, there was a societal debt we paid to the BPO industry. A lot of people got wasted because they just thought speaking English was good enough. And 7 years down the line, they didn't know what to do. I will have again pay a societal debt now if we make our engineers into these hustlers. Right? There is a need that India needs to grow. There is no reason. So there is a book called Weapons and Tools, right? India had a Google kind of a search in 1984 on nick.in, but we never did anything. Why should the Americans have a self-appointed pole position about it, right? The question is, and by the way, financial technology, this is a larger conversation, right? Banking will evolve. One of my mentors, his name is Samir Segal. He runs one of the FinTechs in London called TradeStream, retired head of Trade of Europe. He told me that there are two kinds of technologies: evolutionary technologies and revolutionary technologies. The choice is yours. So in FinTech, we need to be evolutionary. What I would request Ty or Kitty to look at. Don't be revolutionary. Don't try to throw a bomb at the assembly and then just hang yourself. That does not bring right. We choose the wrong idols when we wear Che Guevara t-shirts, right? So I think that's the choice we as Bangalore, we as beyond Bangalore, we as India need to make today. One of the most interesting fintechs I put 50 lakhs of banks money in recently is 10 women in Ahmedabad made something called Peel. It's a loyalty program fintech that allows the Kirana stores to run a loyalty program the same way as MasterCard. And believe me, they run a better value chain. So to your point, real, to your point, on the street, and it is creating value for the last mile, right? Resilient technology built by 10 women in Ahmedabad. And in Deutsche Bank, we funded that through IIT Bombay. Those are the fintechs we are looking for. And that was a real product, by the way.
See, okay, now I don't know whether we are stepping out of the special interest group or not.
Okay, just I think since it's 7, we can probably log off. Right. Anyone who wants to hang out for a few minutes of conversation, we can do that. So with that, thank you guys for joining in on the phone. If you want to stay on, on the line, if you want to stay on, we'll have it. But I think we'll formally close this session. So if it's being live streamed or something, I think request that gets turned off. Stay on. Those on the call.
Thank you.
Please stay on. But there's some interesting conversation happening.
Now,